Hey everyone, and welcome to another Kinsta Talks episode. My name is Marcel Bootsman, and I'm the EMEA Partnerships and Community Manager at Kinsta. And today in the call, we have again Estela Rueda. Estela, welcome to the call.
Hi, Marcel. How are you?
I am good. How about you?
Good, good.
Good,
Just
excellent. Nice
starting
to
the
hear.
year with lots of work.
Nice, lots of work and good
Yeah.
energy, right? So,
Yes, as always.
Estela has been a WordPress contributor since when did you start? 2015, something like that?
No, 2017 actually.
17 actually, so
Yes.
you're 9 years in already.
Yeah.
And Estela does a lot of work about for the community, for documentation, and also the recent with the AI project. And today we're just going to touch up on a few things Estela has been working on in the last month. So let's start with the first thing. Estela, is there anything else you would like to add for the people that are listening and watching about yourself?
Well, I've been a contributor since 2017 and like in documentation, and I sometimes do a little bit of help with core and meta, but mostly documentation. And right now I'm focusing on the main project or the main thing in my head right now is how to highlight documentation better in WordPress. I feel like there is a missed opportunity that, we write all of this. We have these support forums, which are great. We have the user documentation, which we are updating, and we'll talk about that later. We have the developer documentation, which has other issues that we can also discuss. But we also have Learn, which are these deep learning courses that the training team is writing, and I don't think that we promote them enough. If you open your WordPress site for the first time and you try to figure out how it works, it's like, who do I ask? So yeah, that's the point. That's the whole thing.
That's the point. Where can this documentation be found?
In the document at WordPress.org, and if you are not familiar with WordPress.org, it can be a haunting site. It's like it's daunting. It's too big. It's too much information, and yeah, it's complicated.
That's exactly why I ask, because I know my ways around WordPress.org, but
Yeah.
maybe people that are watching don't know it, so that's why I asked. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's dive into some details about the stuff we discussed last
Yes.
time. I think it was November, somewhere in November that we
Somewhere
talked.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Christmas, we had all kind of festivities. I heard you got a little bit sick, but you're all good now, or
Yes.
99% back to normal.
99%. Yes.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
So, Estela, our last interview was somewhere in November, and we discussed a lot of things there, also about the completeness of documentation for WordPress 6.9, and now 7.0 is around the corner or has been introduced.
Yes.
What are your expectations and your plans for this?
Well, documentation has agreed to work in a different way with the release team. So now we are just focusing on user documentation. The developer documentation is going to be handled entirely by the core team because they are the ones, developing the features, and they should know. The commuters are the ones that they have one feature, they develop it, they commit it to WordPress, and then they need to write the documentation. So we're going to live it. They are going to do it that way. That's part of the experiment of having a smaller release team so that we can work better, so that we can improve, the way it works. In documentation, we're going to focus only on user documentation. Right now, Milana, so we're going to have something that we're going to call for now documentation wranglers, I think. We don't have a title. We don't have a name for it. But something like that. And so right now, Milana Sisap at Sisap in WordPress, she has committed. She's also the team rep for documentation. So she has committed to be the one opening the project, working on the documentation, and she's going to mentor another contributor that has volunteer for this, and he's less experienced. So they are going to be working on it. I'm gonna start posting a lot of things because it's also a process that we are restarting and we are learning. So we need to figure out, what works best. On one side. On the other side, as a result of the 6.9 documentation, we notice that there is a lot of documentation that has not been updated in forever times. So we have been falling behind in a lot. All of that past month, I've been running some sort of audit, and you can see it in the Make documentation Make blog about how to help update the documentation. And I split it by all the four categories that we have in WordPress in documentation, plus the blogs. I'm doing the blogs separately. I put them in a different one. Why? Because right now, what is most important that we update are the blogs. And I'm trying to convince people to help me update the blog, all the blog documentation before we go into 7.0. And that's about it. That's where we are. I am going to this week. I was busy with another project, but I'm gonna start looking into the support team and looking into core team and see who wants to come out and help write us all this documentation. That's on one side. On the other side, we have 2 contributors that are writing guides for entirely new contributors as part of the WordPress credits program. So they are writing these guides as like for totally zero newbie, entirely new contributors that they have no clue. And we're trying to make them as easy as possible. So yeah, the documentation just happens. Like there are too many projects, the entire thing that we all need to put, eyes to them and work on them. But I think that these guys are also going to help a lot for new contributors, and that's it. That's where we are.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really good. I'm especially happy to hear that the onboarding for people to contribute to WordPress and for documentation as well is going to be worked on. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about AI, because last time we talked, we chatted about AI, and you were testing out Gemini, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
For the documentation. Has any progress been made there?
Yes, and I am very happy. So
Oh,
I presented my draft, which right now is you remember when we used to design files that you go like the final and then the final of the final? Well, this is kind of like the draft of the draft of the draft of the draft, okay?
the final draft.
Yeah, hopefully. No, this is not the final. This is the first draft.
Okay.
But I will write about it in because now that I have answers, I can write about it in and I'm gonna publish it in the WordPress blog, Make blog for documentation. It's an exploration of how can we bring using AI. How can we support the blogs in the blog editor, right? On each of the blog panels. So I presented it to the AI team, and they are very interested in it. They like the idea that I propose, which is very simple, okay? And I am only focusing on the blogs right now. I feel that other documentation needs to be presented in a different way because of the users and because of the applications of it. Blogs are my focus on the blogs is only because of the use cases, right? Because you can have it for a blogger, and a freelancer, that's easy. But you can also use it for big what do you call them? Commercial sites,
Enterprise
sites.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. For enterprise, where you have a limited theme and people need to know how to use, probably 10 blocks. That's what you use in the whole theme, right? And they don't need to know anything else. So that's why I only focus on the blocks. You are not going to tell enterprise, you're not going to give them information on how to change the style, the style or the whole thing, right? So that's why I'm only focusing on blocks right now. The idea is to have on the blog panel an easy how to 2-3 steps. Like with the paragraph blog, you can, well, not all of that, but you can change the font or fix your typography, for instance, create your paragraphs and things like that, and then a link to the entire documentation, to the full documentation in the documentation site, so that you can see the whole thing, and also as more recommendations whenever they make sense. Let's say you wrote one little sentence, but you have it as a paragraph. You say, and then the recommendation will be your content will be more impactful if you change it as a as a highlight or
As a header.
no, not a header. The paragraph has a. You're gonna have to make me go look because I don't remember now. Paragraph has no, it's okay. A display or an annotation.
Oh yes.
Yes. So yeah, there you go. I'm back. So you have to do, if you put it as a display, your content will be more impactful. That will be a recommendation. And this is where we are using AI. I just got some feedback from the AI team. They think that they can use notes, and they think that they can add this to the AI experiment plugin.
Nice.
But we're still going, we're still in the explorations time. And once I'm going to post about it with the recommendations, and then I'll see what the team says.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. It almost sounds like you get embedded documentation, but even more that, well, you get a link to the documentation. Mm-hmm. But if you can get tips, improvements about how you write your content in WordPress, and how to make it better, that sounds like a very nice feature.
Yeah, and obviously, there needs to be a parameter for these recommendations, right? With AI, and the parameters should be always like the list of the theme list, the blocks in that theme. Gosh, that's theme list blocks.
Yes,
too many words. But the blocks on that theme, that should be the parameter for it.
Yes. Well, sounds interesting, and very happy to hear that the AI team sees opportunities to embed this in the AI plugin. Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, I'm just presenting the idea in trying to make it a goal. So they will build that for me because, as you know, I can not put 2 pieces of code together.
That's good. Everybody has their skills, and we should use those. And if you have a vision of how it can happen in WordPress, and there are other people that can build that, that's what community is all about, right?
Yeah. And then let me just continue to this. The other documentation, I don't think we should put it together, and I don't think we need so much as AI. But I am envisioning, for now, it's still an idea. Okay, I haven't done anything, and it's one of those shower ideas. A little widget on the front of the WordPress, in that panel with a lot of notices.
In the dashboard, yes.
Yes, in the dashboard, with all the notices that everybody removes because we don't like them. But something like a link to support for whenever you have, a one-off question, your site is not working, go here. You want a quick reference, go to the documentation. You need to know how to develop this blog, or you don't want to learn how to develop something else, go to the developer documentation. You want to learn a topic deeply, go to the learn site. So, but that's an idea that I have. Like I said, it's a shower idea. I would love to do that. I gotta talk to core first about it. They are gonna they're gonna listen to it, hear from you first, and then they're gonna go like, Estela, what are you saying now? But yeah.
Yeah, for the people that don't know the Learn website, it's learn.wordpress.org. You can find a lot of information there on WordPress and how to learn
Yes,
certain aspects of
tutorials.
WordPress.
Yes, huge long
And it's even
tutorials.
translated in different languages,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it is in several languages. Not everything is translated into every language, but they have, and they do one beautiful thing that I like, that some of the tutorials, they are not translated, but they are written and given by native speakers.
That's good.
So we have contributors in Learn. We have contributors from all around the world.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's, I would advise people to take a look at the website and if you want to learn something about WordPress, check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for these updates, Estela. I'd like to continue to the final part of this interview, and that's
Yes.
the new part of the uncached opinions. And maybe I would have to stop using that it's new, because there's a few interviews already published that are using it. And so yeah, I've prepared a few statements. These are not my own opinions or those of Kinsta. That's the legal stuff I need to tell. These are just statements, and I want to hear your opinion about these. If you agree, disagree, and if you want to explain a little bit about how and why you disagree or agree with those. Right, let's get this started. Are you ready?
Yes.
You're ready. Excellent. Okay, let's start with a nice one. The WordPress golden age is still ahead of us, and it's not in the past.
I think so. I think that we still can do a lot of things with WordPress. So yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And we can do a lot of stuff with WordPress, and we can do a lot of stuff with the full site editing, of course.
Yes.
Let's do a statement on that. Full site editing is currently too complex for the average non-technical user.
Yes. Yes. It's still too complex for the non-technical user. And I can tell you this, when you add a theme, you need to have the learning curve is steep when you add a different theme. When you, even with the free themes, whichever, there's still a learning curve. So this is one of the reasons why I want to bring and I want to highlight the documentation right there. It needs to be in your face, literally.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with adding that documentation part as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Corporate sponsorship is the only way the WordPress project can remain competitive against closed source platforms.
I also agree with that. We have a lot of contributors that do this job as, contributions as part of their heart because they love WordPress. But people, we also need to eat. We need to pay rent. We need to, take care of children and all of that stuff. And when you give 5 hours a week to the project that you're not getting paid, those are 5 hours that you're not making money, and you're not adding to the, to the rent money or whatever it is. Yeah. So yes, I think that having corporate sponsorships, especially for smaller contributions, I am not talking about, a full-time contributors, because I don't think that full-time contributors are really that helpful in the long run. But smaller contributors, yes, they do need a lot of support.
Excellent. Thanks for your explanation. All right, let's go on to the next one. We've talked about AI as well, so I made a statement about that. AI-generated code will create more technical debt than it saves in development time.
I will not know the answer to that one, because we're talking about code.
Yes.
I think that there is the opportunity to improve the features and the capabilities of WordPress, and make it bigger without making it more complicated. We have the opportunity to use these tools as aiding tools, that will support us or aid us into help us into do something. Yes, we do. and I think it will be very helpful.
Thank you. The Five for the Future initiative needs a complete overhaul to be truly equitable for small contributors.
I don't participate much in it, but I think yes, I think it does need an overhaul about what's going on. An understanding. I think that because of all the things that have happened in the past couple of years, Five for the Future just got a bad reputation. So maybe a branding, would be helpful. Changing the branding, changing the name of it, with the same concept. The concept is not bad, but like I said, I think that we need to stop focusing on contributors, full-time contributors, and start using like the program that Kinsta did this year, smaller contributors for 1 year. I think that this helps more than having somebody full-time.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're happy to sponsor all the contributors we currently have on the sponsor list, to say it like that.
Yeah.
Also, very happy to hear that these people, including you, are very happy with the sponsorship we provide them. So yeah, with that, I'd like to go to the last statement of this uncashed opinions part, which is the WordPress community focuses too much on technical features and not enough on the business of marketing.
The WordPress community? Is that who you asked? The WordPress community?
Yes.
Yes. I think so. But we have forums for marketing. We have forums for business, and like we have post status where we discuss a lot of things about businesses. They ask recommendations, this kind of thing. But I would like to see more on these topics on WordCamps, which are always too focused on what's WordPress, what can we do with WordPress, and let me tell you my story about, my journey through WordPress. I think that we need to scale down on those topics and add more on things like how to improve or how to make your plugin business better, how to get investors for your smaller agency, and then you can become better. Let me show you how to write a proposal for a client, that kind of thing. I think that we do need. And believe it or not, WordCamps are the best place for it.
Yes.
Perhaps not the big ones, WordCamp Asia, Europe, and US, but the smaller WordCamps, the local WordCamps, I think that they will benefit a lot from refocusing their topics.
Thank you for this addition, and yeah, I agree. I think marketing is something that we should all invest in, and also
Yes.
about how to run your business, how to improve running your business, running your WordPress business. But I also think that WordPress on the marketing side should be a little bit more, how do you say that? A little bit more aggressive,
Loud. Yeah.
but in a
Loud.
but in a positive way.
Yes. Yes.
And especially outside of the WordPress bubble. We can preach
Yes.
WordPress on a WordCamp or on meetups, but we need to preach WordPress on other events
Yes.
as well. Do it as partners, like us. Go there with partners, or
Mhm.
it's a long. It's a challenge.
It's a long road, but
Yes,
I think that yeah, I think that the marketing team in within WordPress relations, or whatever they call it later, hasn't worked because they haven't really focused. And I think that as long as we keep on promoting WordPress to the community, we're never going to come out.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So like we
yeah.
don't need anybody preaching to the core. The core already knows how to sing.
We know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to preach it outside the core.
absolutely
Outside the
agree.
chorus. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Estela, thank you very much for your opinions on these statements and for the updates on the stuff you've been working on. Very happy to hear that things are progressing and things are evolving. It's always good to
Yes.
hear. So thank you for having the time for this interview, and let's talk again in a few months.
We do. And thank you to Kinsta for the sponsorship and all the support. It's been great, really.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right.
All
Have a
right.
nice
Thank you,
day,
Marcel. You too.
and thank you everybody for watching. Bye bye.
Bye.